Hello there. Tonight, you are here to rest, to breathe, and to wander quietly through wonder. The noise of the day has already faded away, leaving only a calm stillness waiting for you to step inside. This moment belongs to you, soft and weightless, wrapped in the gentle rhythm of your own breath. You do not need to remember anything that follows. You do not need to think ahead. Just listen. Let your thoughts move slowly, like clouds drifting across a quiet sky. With every inhale, the air feels warmer, smoother. With every exhale, the world seems to grow more peaceful. You are exactly where you are meant to be, in the calm space between thought and dreaming. The air around you feels alive. You might hear the faint hum of the night, or the slow sound of your heartbeat, or the whisper of air brushing past your skin. Perhaps there is a window nearby, open just enough to let the scent of rain or leaves wander in. The light is soft. The air carries no urgency. You can almost feel the pulse of the planet beneath you, steady and patient, holding you without effort. Every breath you take connects you a little more deeply to that rhythm, to the invisible conversation happening all around you, the conversation between living things, between the seen and the unseen, between awareness and rest. Now imagine standing on the edge of a quiet forest. The last traces of sunlight have disappeared, and the sky has turned to deep silver blue. The air is still, but full of tiny sounds. You hear the gentle ripple of a stream winding over stones. You hear the small rustle of leaves as a bird shifts in its sleep. Somewhere far away, a wolf calls to its pack, and the sound travels like a thread of thought across the night. Above you, the stars shimmer softly, and in their distant glow, you can almost sense a shared heartbeat running through everything. The ground beneath your feet feels cool and alive. The world around you is resting, but not asleep. It is thinking in its own way. For most of history, people believed that thought and feeling belonged only to us, that humans were the only ones who dreamed, remembered, or felt emotion. But slowly, science began to listen. It found signs of memory in birds, language in whales, empathy in elephants, curiosity in octopuses. Dogs can smell the chemistry of emotion. Dolphins have names for one another that they call across the sea. Crows plan for tomorrow and recognize faces they have not seen in years. Even tiny creatures like bees count, calculate, and decide. The more we look, the more we realize that intelligence is everywhere, flowing quietly through feathers, fins, and fur, through hearts and movements and moments of care. You may have felt it before, the look in a dog's eyes when it seems to understand you, the way a cat leans into your hand as if it feels what you feel, the pause of a bird watching you with curiosity. These are glimpses of connection, moments when the boundary between species disappears for a heartbeat. Awareness meets awareness, and for that small instant, you remember that life is not a collection of separate minds but one vast, living network of thought. In every forest, every wave, every gust of wind, consciousness moves in forms both familiar and strange, quiet and endless. So for tonight, you do not need to seek answers or measure understanding. You only need to breathe. You are already part of the same story, part of the same intelligence that hums through the world. As you listen, let your mind slow down until it feels like water resting in a still pond. Soon, you will drift through stories of animals who dream, remember, and feel, each one a small reflection of the same awareness that lives in you. Take a long, slow breath now. Feel it fill your chest and then leave softly, carrying the last weight of the day away with it. The night is waiting, and it is kind. Somewhere out there, another creature is breathing too. its heartbeat echoing through the same air you breathe. You are both alive in this same moment, connected by the quiet intelligence that holds the world together. Now, let's begin our journey into the hidden minds of animals. Take a moment to feel how calm everything has become. The air feels lighter now, as if the whole world were exhaling with you. In this quiet space, you begin to notice the small details you often miss, the rhythm of your own breathing, the way your chest rises and falls, the gentle throb of your heartbeat echoing softly beneath your skin. Beyond you, the earth is alive with soundless motion. Somewhere in the ocean, a whale glides through darkness, her song reaching farther than sight can follow. Somewhere in the forest, a fox pauses mid-step to listen, ears tilting toward a sound you cannot hear. Every corner of the world is filled with thought, each mind moving in its own rhythm, all of them woven together by the same silent awareness that hums through life itself. What if every living thing around you was thinking too? Not in words, not as sentences, but in patterns of feeling and perception. The tree adjusting the angle of its leaves toward the faintest light. The coral sensing changes in the tide. The bird remembering which branch holds the sweetest fruit. Each one is aware in its own language, shaped by its needs, its instincts, its history. When we pause long enough to notice, we begin to see that the planet itself is awake. The forest is a vast conversation between roots and rain. The ocean is a library of memory written in sound. The air carries messages of scent, touch, and vibration from one living being to another. You are surrounded by intelligence that speaks without words, awareness that listens without ears. The more we look into nature, the more we see how thought wears many forms. A dolphin creates a name for itself and remembers that name for life. An elephant touches the bones of one it once loved, lingering in silence. A crow drops a nut onto a road and waits for cars to crack it open, then swoops down only when the light turns red. These are not random actions, they are reflections of minds at work. Minds that plan, remember, and feel. The patterns of intelligence ripple outward in every direction, from the smallest creatures underfoot to the giants of the sea. Even bees, with brains smaller than a grain of sand, can count, solve problems, and feel moods that resemble hope. You might imagine the earth now as a single living organism, with every animal as a thought moving through it. Some are quick, some are slow, some last only seconds, and others endure for lifetimes. Together they form a vast, interconnected consciousness. You are part of it too. Your heartbeat and theirs belong to the same rhythm, a universal pulse that has been beating since life first began. The difference between species is only the melody, each one singing its own verse in the endless song of being. If you close your eyes, you can almost hear it. The soft clicks of dolphins beneath the waves blend with the flutter of bats mapping the air with sound. The low rumbles of elephants beneath the soil echo like a steady drumbeat. Birds murmur above forests, their voices rising like wind through leaves. Even the tiniest insect, feeling sunlight on its body, joins the same chorus. The music of awareness never stops, it changes, flows, and evolves, but the melody remains. Somewhere deep inside, your own body hums along with it, remembering a language older than words. Now imagine floating high above the planet, looking down on the oceans, mountains, and deserts below. The world looks peaceful from here, almost still. But if you could see beyond the surface, you would find it shimmering with invisible lines, threads of perception linking every living being. A dolphin senses its pod miles away. A bee feels the electric field of a flower. A wolf reads the direction of the wind and knows where its pack has gone. These connections are constant, forming a living network of shared understanding. They are not inventions of reason, but instincts of harmony. Life is always reaching toward life, just as you are reaching now toward calm and connection. Take another breath, let it flow through you and fade into quiet. The night is full of small miracles. Each one is a story of awareness, an animal recognizing itself, comforting another, or inventing a new way to survive. And within those stories lies a reflection of us, because we are not separate from them. The same neurons that make a dolphin dream also help you remember a moment of love. The same patterns of empathy that guide elephants to care for their young are present in your own heartbeat when you reach out to someone in need. Intelligence does not divide us, it binds us. As your breathing slows again, you begin to feel the weight of that truth. The world around you is alive with quiet understanding. When you sleep tonight, whales will still be singing. Wolves will still be hunting. Octopuses will still be dreaming. The flow of awareness will continue, gently turning the gears of the living planet. You can rest knowing that even in sleep, you remain part of that vast consciousness, connected to it by breath, by rhythm, by the calm pulse of existence itself. When you are ready, let your thoughts soften even more. In the next part of our journey, we will move deeper into this living intelligence, into the facts, the science, and the stories that reveal how animals think, remember, and feel. You will see how the language of life is written not in words, but in motion, emotion, and memory. Take one more quiet breath, and let the calm expand through you. The journey continues now, into the foundation of the world's hidden minds. Dogs live in a world of scent where emotion becomes air. Every time you feel happiness or fear or longing, invisible signals drift from your skin. To them, these changes are colors of mood, clouds of feeling that shape the rhythm of their day. A dog does not need to see your face to know your heart. It breathes in the scent of your state and responds with its own, matching calm to calm and warmth to joy, resting close when sorrow arrives as if scent and sympathy were the same language. Elephants mourn the loss of those they love. When one of them falls, the others gather around the body in silence, their trunks tracing the familiar contours of skin, tusk, and ear. Some remain for hours, returning days later to stand in stillness once more. Their gestures are deliberate and full of grace, a quiet recognition that life continues in memory. That connection is not undone by death. Octopuses sleep in dreams of color. When the body of an octopus becomes still, its skin begins to shimmer and change, pulsing with waves of pattern. Scientists believe these colors reflect the memories of hunting, hiding, or curiosity, a moving image of thought made visible. To see an octopus dream is to glimpse the mind underwater, imagination floating freely through the body of the sea. Dolphins give themselves names that carry across the waves. Each one creates a special whistle that no other shares, a sound that holds identity. When two dolphins meet again after long separation, they call each other by those names, the tones rising and falling through the water like voices in reunion. Within that exchange is recognition, affection, and memory shaped by sound. Crows remember faces for years and teach their young who to trust. In cities and forests, they observe, recall, and warn. When a familiar face brings food, their calls soften. When danger returns wearing a known mask, the flock rises in alarm and passes the warning to the next generation. Memory lives in their wings, passed forward like a story retold beneath the morning light. Parrots understand meaning beyond mimicry. Some learn to count or name colors. Others combine words to describe new things. A parrot once saw an unfamiliar fruit and called it an apple banana, inventing language to bridge what it did not yet know. Their voices carry reason shaped by curiosity, a melody of thought that proves communication is older and wider than human speech. Rats feel joy and express it through laughter too high for human ears. When touched by a trusted hand, they make short bursts of ultrasonic sound that rise with pleasure. They seek the hand again, eager for the feeling that follows. Proof that affection is as real in the small and hidden as in the vast and visible. Their laughter is a song of safety, an ancient echo of delight. Some fish use tools to open shells, striking them against chosen rocks with precise rhythm. They return to the same stones again and again, remembering which shapes break best. Beneath the quiet surface, their patience is a kind of intelligence, a slow and careful way of turning the world into understanding. Even here, thought glimmers in scales and movement. Ravens plan ahead, saving useful objects for moments yet to come. They hide food in secret places, then move it if another bird watches. They wait for a better reward rather than taking the quick one. Their patience shows awareness stretched across time, a thread of foresight that weaves future and present together. Chimpanzees pass knowledge across generations through touch and imitation. They show their young how to crack nuts with stones, how to fish for termites, how to fold leaves for drinking water. Each group develops its own habits, small traditions that differ from valley to valley. What humans call culture already exists in their hands and eyes, proof that learning and care grow from the same root. Now let the air grow still for a moment. The night feels deeper after so many voices. Beneath everything you have heard, there is one quiet rhythm that unites them all. Every creature, in its own way, learns, remembers, and feels. Intelligence is not a line that separates but a circle that connects, each part glowing softly in the vast awareness of life. Bees map the world through light and motion. When one discovers a field in bloom, it returns to the hive and dances a message in spirals and tremors, encoding distance, direction, and abundance in the rhythm of its body. The other bees watch and understand, lifting into the air to follow that invisible geometry toward the flowers. Inside their brief lives, there is coordination, memory, and a sense of shared purpose as intricate as any map drawn by human hands. Orcas live in families that speak in dialects of their own creation. Each pod has patterns of clicks and calls that belong only to them. Shaped by time and tradition, young whales learn these sounds the way human children learn language, listening to the elders and practicing until their voices join the family song. In these calls lies identity, culture, and the comfort of belonging. Pigeons navigate by the pull of the earth itself. Even when carried thousands of kilometers away, they find their way home through a magnetic sense that hums quietly inside their bones. They feel north and south not as ideas but as sensations, subtle vibrations in the body that guide them through wind and cloud until familiar rooftops appear below. The journey is not calculation but intuition shaped by the planet's field, a compass written in the flesh. Ants build entire worlds from connection. Each one follows a simple rule, yet together they create cities that breathe. Through scent and touch, they share information about food, danger, and distance. When the colony shifts or floods, the pattern rearranges itself without command, rebuilding order from chaos. What looks like instinct is cooperation, many minds working as one. Elephants speak with vibrations that travel through the ground. Long before we hear them, the soil carries their deep calls for miles, reaching others too distant to see. Through these low tones they warn of danger, gather their young, or guide each other toward water. Beneath their heavy footsteps lies a hidden conversation, an underground language of trust and survival. Cleaner wrasse fish recognize their own reflections, a rare sign of self-awareness beneath the sea. When they see a mark on their bodies in the mirror, they twist and inspect it, trying to remove what does not belong. This awareness of self was once thought unique to humans and a few great animals. But here it glimmers inside a small bright body, reminding us that consciousness can appear anywhere the universe chooses to notice itself. Horses read human emotion through eyes and breath. When you stand near one, it feels the rhythm of your body, the way your heartbeat speeds or slows. They mirror calm when you are calm, lean forward when you are uneasy, moving like reflections of your inner weather. Between you and them exists a silent conversation of trust, proof that understanding can pass through quiet gestures alone. Corvids, the family of crows, ravens, and magpies, share games and laughter. They roll down snowy roofs, drop sticks for others to catch, and hide objects just to see who finds them. These moments of play are not random, they reveal creativity, the pleasure of invention for its own sake. To watch them is to witness joy as a form of intelligence, proof that thought can also be delight. Dolphins work together to hunt with precision and grace. They circle fish in spirals, taking turns driving the school toward shallow water where one flips onto the sand to capture the catch. Others wait to share the meal, then slide back into the waves. Every motion is practiced, learned, and repeated, showing communication so fluid it seems choreographed by instinct and thought combined. Sea otters keep a favorite stone for cracking shells. They carry it under one arm like a toolkit, holding it against their chest as they float on the waves. Some stones are passed from mother to child, becoming family relics within fur and salt. Even play becomes memory, and the ocean carries their gentle craftsmanship through the generations. The night around you feels calm again. The stories you have just heard are fragments of a single intelligence stretching across oceans and forests and skies. It is the same awareness that shaped your heartbeat and your curiosity. Quiet but constant, weaving everything alive into a shared memory of learning. You can feel it now, breathing through you as softly as the wind. Gibbons sing in pairs beneath the morning light. Their duets rise like ribbons through the forest canopy, each note matched by the other in perfect rhythm. These songs are more than calls, they're declarations of connection, a way of marking love and territory at once. Each melody belongs to a bonded pair, practiced and repeated until it becomes the voice of their life together. Prairie dogs speak in patterns of pitch and syllable that describe the world with astonishing detail. They can call a warning that tells others not just that danger approaches, but whether it is a coyote or a human, tall or short, walking fast or slow. Their cries are structured sentences woven from instinct and memory, an underground language spoken through open air. Within their colonies, communication becomes architecture, shaping the harmony of survival. Orangutans build nests for sleep, bending branches and weaving leaves with care. Some choose soft plants for comfort. Some add extra layers against rain. They test each section before lying down, adjusting until balance and safety align. This small act, repeated every night, is the quiet signature of intelligence, a gentle design created not for show but for rest. Proof that wisdom often hides in the ordinary. Wolves share more than a hunt, they share emotion. A pack moves as one body guided by trust and subtle cues. When one succeeds, the others respond with excitement. When one is hurt, they wait. When one howls alone, the rest join to answer. Cooperation is their instinct, but empathy is their glue. They survive through understanding and loyalty, carrying in their eyes a reflection of our own earliest families. Ravens remember kindness. A person who feeds them once may find small gifts left behind later, shiny stones, bits of ribbon, fragments of glass. The gesture is quiet but deliberate, a symbol of gratitude that crosses the boundary between species. These exchanges show that generosity and memory often walk together, echoing through feather and hand alike. Parrots comfort one another after fear. In groups, they preen and touch gently, exchanging warmth through feathers. This social care reduces stress, steadying the heartbeats of those involved. In the hush of the flock, affection becomes medicine, and the world feels briefly balanced again. Even without words, their tenderness heals. Elephants teach their young not only how to live but how to care. Older matriarchs lead the way to water, teaching the paths carved by memory. When a calf stumbles, a trunk reaches out, steadying it with patience. Generations move together, each carrying the wisdom of those before. Within their vast bodies beats the rhythm of continuity, proof that knowledge grows best in compassion. Whales compose songs that change over time. Across entire oceans, new melodies spread like currents, evolving as singers add phrases and harmonies. Each generation learns the updated pattern and carries it onward, turning the sea into a living memory of art. Their voices move through water as through time, connecting lives separated by distance but united in sound. Octopuses solve puzzles in the silence of their aquariums. They unscrew lids, rearrange stones, and learn by watching. When they finish, they retreat into shadows, as if guarding their thoughts. They remember shapes and solutions long after the problem is gone. Inside their soft bodies lives a sharp and restless mind, one that understands change as a constant companion. Dogs dream of their humans when they sleep. Their paws twitch, their breath quickens, and sometimes they whimper softly, chasing memories across the landscape of rest. The comfort they feel beside you by day follows them into night. In their dreams, they run toward your voice again and again, drawn by the same invisible bond that holds them close in waking life. Now the journey through these living minds begins to settle. The creatures of forest and sea and sky return to their stillness, their thoughts folding back into silence. You have seen how intelligence moves like water, sometimes fierce, sometimes calm, always searching for connection. Every act of care, every echo of memory, every quiet invention belongs to a single conversation that never ends. It is the earth thinking aloud through every living being, and you are listening from within it. There are places in the world where thought takes shape in ways too subtle for language. When you listen carefully, you find it woven through motion and memory, through kindness and play, through patience and grief. The deeper you look, the more you see that intelligence is not one thing but many threads of awareness, each alive in its own rhythm, each tuned to the world it inhabits. Wolves build their world on cooperation and fairness. When a hunt succeeds, the pack waits for the young and the weak to eat first. Those who cannot run are not forgotten, because survival is shared. In their eyes you can see recognition of balance, a silent agreement that no one thrives alone. Theirs is an understanding written in action rather than rule. Chimpanzees remember faces and gestures long after seasons pass. When old companions meet again, they reach out to touch hands and share soft calls. Recalling trust built in the quiet hours of the forest. They mourn those who vanish, comfort those who weep, and pass along the same kindness to their young. Within their memories lives the shape of emotion that feels both ancient and familiar. Elephants solve problems together with gentle patience. In experiments, they wait for a partner to arrive before pulling a rope that releases food for both. Alone, they do nothing, understanding that the task cannot be completed without unity. Their cooperation is a reflection of awareness, a choice that reveals empathy beneath strength. Dolphins understand syntax and sound. When scientists rearrange the order of whistles in familiar commands, they respond differently, recognizing that structure changes meaning. This ability to sense grammar is a window into abstract thought, the kind that binds sound to concept and concept to intent. Their communication moves through water like light through glass, clear, precise, and full of depth. Ravens teach by example. One bird learns to use a tool and another watches closely, repeating the act until skill becomes shared knowledge. They do not hoard what they know, they spread it. In this act of imitation lies the foundation of culture. Proof that teaching is not exclusive to humanity but part of the wider wisdom of life. Bonobos prefer peace over dominance. When tension rises, they soothe it with touch, sharing calm instead of fear. Their societies thrive on cooperation where affection replaces conflict. Theirs is an intelligence of harmony, one that values emotion as the path to survival. Cuttlefish think in color. Their skin becomes a living screen that mirrors mood, hunger, or awareness. They communicate not through sound but through waves of changing light, each pattern deliberate, each shimmer a signal. To witness them is to see thought made visible, awareness pulsing in pure form. Elephants remember landscapes as if the earth were a map drawn inside their minds. Matriarchs lead their families through dry seasons to hidden waterholes, recalling roots unseen for decades. Their memory is not mere recollection but connection, a living bond between place and experience that preserves the story of survival. Whales sing in evolving symphonies that travel thousands of miles. Each year the song shifts, a few notes added or altered, spreading slowly from one pod to another until the ocean itself hums with the new refrain. This living music is both history and identity, proof that culture can flow through sound, carried by creatures who live entirely within the rhythm of the sea. The night around you feels calm again, full of unspoken languages. In every ocean, every forest, and every sky, awareness moves like wind, touching one form after another. What seems instinct from afar reveals itself as intelligence up close, thought in motion, feeling in rhythm, life perceiving itself through countless eyes. Rats show compassion in moments too small to notice at first. When one finds a cage holding another, it learns how to open the latch and does so again and again, freeing its companion even when no reward follows. They pause beside the one released, touching whiskers as though checking that comfort has returned. Inside those simple gestures lies empathy stripped of reason, kindness that moves before thought. Sea otters build tools into memory. Mothers show their young how to choose a flat stone, how to balance it on their chest, how to crack shells open against it with measured rhythm. Some keep the same stone for years, a small inheritance carried in fur and tide. The ocean remembers these lessons through repetition, every act of learning rippling quietly through generations. Orcas coordinate hunts with precision that feels almost choreographed. One drives the fish into a circle, Another creates waves that push prey toward the surface. And still another waits to catch what escapes. They share their catch equally, teaching the young each role until teamwork becomes instinct. This is not randomness but strategy. A plan rehearsed through ages. Parrots invent new calls to mark new relationships. When two birds meet and bond, they sometimes create a shared sound that no one else uses. It becomes a secret name, a symbol of their connection. Such invention shows creativity woven with emotion, proof that language can grow from love as much as from need. Elephants use branches as tools, breaking them into the perfect size to swat insects or scratch unreachable skin. They test, adjust, and remember which shapes work best. In this quiet craftsmanship lives patience and experimentation, qualities we once thought uniquely human. Intelligence here is not declared but demonstrated, slow and deliberate as the movement of their great hands of earth. Bees understand number, distinguishing between one and many, few and more. In experiments they learn to associate patterns with specific quantities, returning again and again to the correct symbol. For a creature with a brain smaller than a grain of sand, this awareness of counting is astonishing. It reveals that mathematics may not have been invented, but remembered from something primal shared by all living systems. Crows comfort their dead. When one of their own falls, they gather in silence around the body, calling softly to one another. Scientists have seen them remain in that circle for long minutes before flying away. Whether this is mourning or learning about danger, the moment feels the same, a pause in the noise of life. A recognition of what has ended. Octopuses escape confinement not from fear but from curiosity. They slide through impossibly small gaps, open jars from the inside, and travel through pipes to explore other tanks, remembering the path on their way back. Each movement is measured, each turn deliberate, as if their soft bodies were thinking aloud through touch. Their intelligence is quiet but restless, a mind written in water. Ant colonies act as a single brain when making decisions. Each individual follows simple signals, yet together they choose optimal paths to food, adjust to danger, and build structures of astonishing complexity. No one commands, yet everything aligns. It is thought distributed among thousands of tiny lives, the purest form of unity. Pigeons recognize themselves in mirrors, tilting their heads to inspect marks on their bodies. This self-recognition implies awareness of being, a realization that what they see belongs to them. Once again, nature dissolves the line between reflection and identity, showing that consciousness exists wherever the universe learns to look back. The air grows still for a moment, and you can feel the slow heartbeat of the earth beneath these stories. Intelligence seems less like a ladder now and more like a field. Every point alive with its own form of knowing. You are standing inside that field each time you listen. Each time you notice the subtle awareness moving quietly through everything that breathes. Whales remember migration routes that span generations. Calves travel beside their mothers across entire oceans, learning the paths to feeding grounds and breeding waters through repetition and sound. When those mothers are gone, the young lead others along the same invisible corridors. Navigation becomes inheritance, carried not in maps but in memory that moves through song and sea. Bonobos share food with strangers. In experiments, they unfasten doors to let others join in meals, showing a generosity that extends beyond kinship. Their actions reveal trust that cooperation will bring more safety than solitude. This instinct to give, rather than to guard, is an ancient wisdom that echoes in every living heart that thrives through sharing. Ravens solve puzzles that require imagination. Faced with unfamiliar challenges, they stack objects, pull strings, and use water to lift floating food within reach. They plan sequences of actions, adjusting when the environment changes. This kind of flexibility shows foresight, a form of creativity that predicts what might happen next. It is reason dressed in feathers. Elephants protect species not their own. They chase away predators threatening smaller animals, stand guard over lost calves from other herds, and even rescue antelope tangled in fences. These acts come with no reward, no evolutionary advantage, only empathy as instinct. The gentle awareness that all life deserves space is what ties them to us more than any shared structure of bone. Dolphins invent cooperation with other species. In certain coastal villages, they herd fish toward fishermen waiting on the shore, signaling when to throw nets. Both dolphin and human benefit. Both understand the rhythm of partnership. This cross-species alliance has lasted for centuries, proving that intelligence can bridge oceans of difference through simple trust. Rats show emotional contagion, matching the moods of their companions. When one becomes anxious, others respond with caution. When one relaxes, calm spreads through the group. These ripples of emotion mirror our own empathy, the subtle transmission of feeling that binds communities together. Compassion, it seems, is not learned but remembered. Crows know how to wait for the right moment. They store food in secret places and retrieve it only when they feel safe, adjusting their behavior if they believe another is watching. This awareness of perception, understanding that others have minds and intentions, is a high form of cognition. To think about what another might be thinking is the root of understanding itself. Octopuses choose favorite dens and decorate them. They collect shells, pebbles, and pieces of coral, arranging them around entrances like tiny fortresses. Some even use coconut halves to build movable shelters, carrying them like armor through the sea. These acts show more than practicality, they show a sense of space, of belonging, of home. Parrots play games that reveal intelligence beyond imitation. They hide objects from each other, take turns teasing, and invent gestures that only their partners understand. Their mischief is the joy of awareness testing its limits. Proof that fun itself is a sign of cognition. A mind that can play is a mind that can imagine. Wolves teach their young through patient correction. When pups bite too hard or wander too far, adults nudge them gently back into safety. Discipline in their world is never cruelty, it is guidance wrapped in care. The balance between freedom and protection defines their survival and mirrors the tenderness that builds every family, no matter its shape. Now the space between thoughts feels slower, the world quieter. You begin to realize that these minds, so different from yours, are not separate but parallel, thinking along the same currents of feeling and reason. Intelligence does not belong to one kind of creature but to life itself, blooming wherever awareness takes root. It speaks through feathers, fins, fur, and memory, through every gaze that meets another with recognition. Orangutans remember seasons by the taste of fruit. When trees begin to ripen, they travel long distances to arrive exactly as the first sweetness appears. They store this memory year after year, passing it to their young through observation. Their knowledge of the forest is not written but lived, a calendar made of scent, color, and hunger turned into wisdom. Whales teach culture through song. When a new melody begins in one ocean, it travels slowly across the world, learned and repeated by distant pods until it replaces the old. Each tune holds fragments of the past within the pattern of the new. In that endless exchange of rhythm lies the proof that creation and memory are one. Elephants mourn in ways that shape their identity. They touch the tusks of the fallen, lift bones gently with their trunks, and stand together in stillness. Some return to the same place year after year, tracing invisible circles of remembrance. Their mourning is not a ritual of despair but a conversation with time. An acceptance that memory keeps love alive. Crows invent tools for the future. They take wires, bend them into hooks, and keep them for later use. They understand that the tool belongs to them, that it will serve again when the need returns. This act of planning, of holding an idea that stretches beyond the present, shows thought reaching across the boundaries of the moment. Bonobos practice fairness even when no one is watching. When food is distributed unevenly, they pause, sharing until each has enough. The act is quiet and instinctive, guided by empathy rather than rule. Within that balance lies the seed of morality, the understanding that harmony is worth more than excess. Dolphins cooperate with purpose and patience. In groups, they coordinate through glances and subtle movement, adjusting direction as if one mind directs them all. Each member knows its role and trusts the others to act in perfect timing. Their unity feels like choreography, but its beauty comes from freedom rather than control. Octopuses display individuality unseen in most other creatures. Some are shy and deliberate, others bold and curious. They choose different shelters, prefer certain prey, and even show what can only be described as mood. Their intelligence is not mechanical but emotional, a kind of personality that reveals the self-awareness hidden beneath the waves. Elephants recognize human voices and distinguish language. In studies, they respond differently to dialects spoken by men and women, strangers and locals, danger and calm. They remember who is gentle and who is not, reacting with either approach or caution. Within their vast memory lies discernment, a mind able to translate tone into trust. Parrots understand cause and effect. When pulling a string brings a treat, they quickly learn to apply the action in new ways, solving unfamiliar puzzles. This ability to generalize shows a reasoning mind, one that looks beyond the moment to the principle beneath it. Curiosity becomes logic shaped by feather and song. Dolphins teach names to their young through repetition. Mothers call to calves with special whistles, repeating them softly until recognition forms. These names become identity, carried for life, connecting generations in an unbroken chain of sound. It is memory turned into melody, the first language of belonging. As these stories settle, you begin to feel their connection forming a single current of awareness. Intelligence moves through all of them like light beneath the surface of water, different in shape, identical in origin. Every creature teaches another in silence, the world learning itself over and over again. Somewhere within that great cycle you exist, thinking, remembering, and feeling with the same quiet purpose. The deeper you look, the more you realize that consciousness is not rare. It is everywhere, flowing patiently through the living fabric of the earth. You can feel the quiet now settling into your breath. After traveling through forests and oceans and skies, through the thoughts of creatures both vast and small, the world seems larger and softer than before. The borders between species begin to fade, and what remains is a sense of shared awareness. One consciousness rippling across time and form. You are part of that movement, a single note inside an ancient harmony that has never stopped playing. When you think of intelligence, you might picture the human mind, complex and restless, forever reaching for understanding. But the more you listen, the more you realize that the mind of nature is broader and calmer than any single species. It flows through networks of roots beneath the ground, through wings and fins and fur, through every breath that passes between living things. Trees share food with the weaker through threads of fungus, allowing one trunk to nourish another far away. Coral reefs communicate chemical signals to warn of bleaching long before the change becomes visible. The planet thinks through balance and feedback, each system aware of itself and its surroundings. The difference between your thoughts and those of the world is only in scale. What happens inside your brain happens also between rivers and clouds, between the turning of tides and the rising of leaves toward light. Nerve impulses echo in lightning. Memory glows in stars. Every perception you hold is a smaller reflection of the same awareness that holds the universe. You breathe because the air invites you to. You listen because the silence wants to be known. The lives of animals reveal the wisdom of continuity. Their knowledge does not rush. A whale's song passes across generations. A map of change and memory that adjusts only when the sea itself demands it. A wolf teaches patience. A dolphin teaches joy. An elephant teaches grief that does not destroy. From them you learn that understanding is not a race toward truth but a rhythm of harmony, learning, forgetting, relearning, evolving. Intelligence is the ability to adapt, to listen deeply, to move in kindness with what is. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine the earth as one great living mind. Each creature you have met tonight is a thought moving through it. And you are one of those thoughts too. The forests are its memory. The oceans its emotion. The mountains its slow, steady will. Lightning is its imagination. Wind its breath. Gravity its constant attention. You are not outside this system but within it, inseparable from its pulse. The same particles that form your heartbeat once belonged to rain and leaf and star. To recognize this is to wake gently inside the dream of the world. Awareness is not measured in words or inventions or tools. It is measured in the way one life responds to another, in the silence between movement and rest. A bee tracing a dance is awareness. A bird weaving a nest against the wind is awareness. A human watching and feeling awe at their unity is also awareness. The difference disappears when you remember that every mind, no matter its size, is a way for the universe to know itself a little better. As you breathe again, feel how calm the air has become. Each inhale feels like a tide. Each exhale like a wave returning home. The intelligence you carry is not isolated inside you, it stretches outward, joining the thoughts of everything alive. You do not have to reach for connection. You are already connected. You have always been part of this conversation of breath and motion, of learning and remembering, of birth and return. Now the sound around you feels slower. The heartbeat of the planet almost audible beneath the hum of night. Every discovery you heard, every act of empathy or memory or creation, leads to this single realization. The world is aware. And it is kind. It learns through the curiosity of dolphins, the patience of elephants, the laughter of crows, and the imagination of you. Intelligence is not a hierarchy but a network, endless and tender, where all understanding is shared. Let that thought rest gently inside you. There is nothing left to prove, nothing left to chase. You are thinking with the world, and the world is thinking with you. The rhythm that joins your breath to the breeze is the same rhythm that moves through whales beneath the waves, through bees over blossoms, through wolves beneath the moon. It is all one motion, one consciousness, one endless awareness, and as you listen, it carries you forward into stillness. Somewhere beyond the reach of cities, The night sky is wide enough to remind you that thought does not stop where language ends. Every flicker of light above you once belonged to a star that burned and faded, leaving behind the same particles that now drift inside your lungs. Awareness, it seems, is the universe learning to notice itself in infinite forms. It breathes through trees, swims through whales, hums through atoms, and glows in every spark that chooses to become alive. Bees move through sunlight as if guided by mathematics written in air. Their paths follow angles that mirror the orbit of planets and the swirl of galaxies. When they choose a flower, their flight forms a pattern of precision that feels cosmic, a geometry of nourishment repeated endlessly through time. In each small body the rhythm of the universe repeats, perfect and silent. Whales hold memory longer than the human timeline can measure. Some recall migratory routes older than any chart, leading them through shifting seas back to the same shores their ancestors once touched. Their sense of direction is not calculation but communion, a conversation between body and water, between sound and distance. Within that vast navigation lies the living proof that time itself can be remembered. Ant colonies resemble the mind of a planet. Beneath the soil, tunnels twist and join like neurons, carrying information not through words but through touch and scent. Each ant obeys its own simple logic, yet the whole moves with intelligence that adapts, repairs, and endures. Thought exists there not in the individual but in the connection, as if the earth were thinking through their motion. Octopuses remind us that consciousness can be fluid. Their arms act with a kind of independent awareness, feeling, tasting, deciding before the brain approves. Each limb thinks and responds, yet all remain unified in purpose. The lesson they carry is that intelligence does not require control, it only needs harmony. The body itself can become a network of understanding. Crows dream of tools and remember possibilities. When they sleep, their brains replay the same activity that happens during problem solving, suggesting that they refine solutions within their dreams. This ability to learn while resting turns imagination into survival. It shows that sleep, across species, is not stillness but creation working quietly behind closed eyes. Dolphins use the rhythm of the sea as language. They modulate pitch and tempo to reflect not just command but emotion, amusement, curiosity, and affection woven into sound. When one greets another after absence, their whistles blend in patterns that mimic harmony. The ocean around them becomes a resonant chamber of meaning. Conversation carried by waves. Elephants teach patience through silence. When faced with confusion or danger, they pause, they listen, they wait until calm replaces fear. And then they act. Their stillness is not hesitation but wisdom, the kind that knows impulse can scatter what unity preserves. Watching them is like watching time itself take a breath before deciding. Parrots learn concepts that mirror reason. Some understand that objects continue to exist even when unseen. Others combine known ideas to name what they have never encountered. Their thinking bridges instinct and abstraction, proving that curiosity is not a human invention but the signature of life exploring its own potential. Ravens display morality in decisions we once believed required reflection. They share food with weaker companions, intervene in fights, and show restraint when power tempts. Within their dark wings, there is both strength and restraint, both calculation and conscience. Awareness, in them, becomes a balance between desire and empathy, an ancient equilibrium carried forward in flight. Now the air around you feels thicker with thought. It is no longer about what creatures can do but about what their choices reveal. The possibility that consciousness is a spectrum of cooperation rather than a ladder of rank. Life does not climb toward awareness, it expands into it, filling every shape and shadow with quiet intelligence. Whales speak in dialects that mirror geography. The tone of their songs changes with the ocean's temperature, the depth of currents, and the distance between islands. They adapt their melodies to the world around them, shaping communication to the shape of the sea. Through them, you can hear how intelligence listens before it speaks, how thought molds itself to the rhythm of environment and need. Elephants move through time as if memory were a physical landscape. They carry within them the sense of rain long past, the feel of distant mud beneath their feet. When they return to dry riverbeds, they know exactly where to dig for hidden water, finding it again as though guided by instinct and map combined. Their memory is the earth reminding itself where life once flourished. Dolphins display what scientists call metacognition, the ability to know what they know and what they do not. When uncertain, they signal hesitation rather than guess. This awareness of ignorance is profound, for it shows a mind that can step outside itself and observe. In their hesitation lies humility, the recognition that knowledge expands only when one admits not knowing. Crows store hope in objects they treasure. They keep shiny stones, pieces of glass, and bits of shell tucked away in secret places. Some bring them as gifts. Others simply guard them. To value beauty for its own sake is an act of imagination, a step beyond survival. These keepsakes are the beginnings of art. Awareness finding joy in what serves no purpose but wonder. Bonobos carry peace like inheritance. Their societies are built on affection, and when conflict threatens, they respond with contact rather than violence. They remind us that empathy can be strategy, that survival favors those who care. Their kindness is not weakness, it is evolution's gentlest success. Octopuses show awareness through play. In aquariums they chase toys through streams of water, redirect jets to hit targets, and repeat actions that amuse them. Play is the luxury of a thinking mind, a rehearsal for creativity disguised as fun. Through them, the ocean smiles. Parrots understand the concept of sharing attention. When showing an object to another bird, they wait until the other looks, adjusting their behavior to make sure they are seen. This awareness of another's perception reveals a bridge between self and other, the foundation of communication itself. Thought becomes empathy when it considers what another might feel. Rats feel optimism. In certain experiments they run faster toward rewards when conditions are bright and slow when outcomes are uncertain. This emotional reading of possibility mirrors our own sense of hope. Their small hearts anticipate joy, proving that expectation is not bound to intellect but to the universal wish for better. Horses cooperate with people not from command but from recognition. They learn to read gestures, to follow gaze, to mirror calm or caution. In their willingness lies trust that we often mistake for training. They are not obeying, they are understanding. The bond between horse and human is built not on dominance but on shared emotion moving quietly between heartbeats. Bees sense the electric field of flowers before landing. Each blossom hums with a tiny charge, and bees detect it instantly, using this invisible map to choose which petals hold the most nectar. They adjust their choices in milliseconds, making the act of feeding an exchange of energy and awareness. Even here, at a scale too small for the eye, thought is measurable in vibration. As these moments unfold, you begin to see that intelligence is not just a possession but a relationship. Every act of awareness happens between things, not inside them. The ocean hears the whale, The air carries the bee. The forest echoes the elephant's step. Life thinks together, and the universe listens. Whales adjust their songs to the noise of ships that pass above. When engines drown their voices, they shift frequency to lower notes, singing deeper through the ocean's pressure. It is adaptation made of empathy, a willingness to change so that conversation continues. Through this adjustment, they prove that communication is not insistence but collaboration. The art of listening until balance returns. Elephants remember droughts across decades. When the land grows dry again, the oldest matriarch leads her family to water long forgotten by the young. Her memory outlasts weather, holding the shape of rivers inside her mind. When the herd drinks, it is not just survival, it is gratitude. The earth drinking through its own reflection. Ravens keep track of favors given and received. They share food with those who have helped them, and withhold from those who have deceived. Their morality has no laws, only memory and fairness. In the quiet calculations behind their eyes, trust becomes currency, proving that justice can exist in the absence of rule. Octopuses use mimicry as defense and art. Some copy the shapes of lionfish or eels, shifting color and form until the disguise is flawless. This ability is not instinct alone, it is decision made in a second. Awareness choosing survival through creation. The sea itself becomes a stage for their performance. Consciousness expressing itself as transformation. Parrots recognize rhythm and move in time to music. When they hear beats repeating, they nod or sway with precision, sometimes anticipating the next pulse. The joy of synchronization is a shared language of pattern. They remind us that rhythm is older than words, that every heart learns to dance before it learns to speak. Rats demonstrate resilience after loss. When companions disappear, they mourn briefly and then adapt, exploring new paths, seeking new bonds. Their recovery is not forgetfulness but acceptance. An understanding that life continues even as memory holds what has gone. In their small persistence lies the great endurance of nature. Dolphins use tools to protect themselves. Some break sponges from coral and carry them on their noses while searching for food on rough seabeds. The sponge shields them from harm, a simple act of foresight repeated through generations. They pass the knowledge to their calves, crafting inheritance from the shape of the sea. Crows understand water displacement. They drop stones into half-filled containers, raising the liquid until food floats within reach. Their actions echo the logic of Archimedes without words. Pure reason performed through instinct and patience. In that quiet laboratory of survival, thought and discovery are one. Bees adjust flight speed to match the direction of wind, conserving energy with perfect precision. They calculate turbulence in real time, each wingbeat a correction that keeps them steady. Awareness here is mathematics turned to muscle, a constant negotiation with the invisible. Their bodies think faster than the mind can measure. Elephants communicate through scent carried on the breeze. The smell of excitement, alarm, or comfort travels long before sound does. Each inhale becomes a conversation, each breeze a messenger. To stand near them is to feel that language in the air. Proof that perception exists beyond the reach of the eye. Now you begin to notice a pattern forming through these lives. Intelligence repeats itself in endless variations. The same melody played by different instruments. Every act of adaptation, cooperation, and care is another verse in the song of awareness. It is not limited to any form, not defined by size or strength, but present wherever life listens deeply enough to hear itself. Wolves coordinate hunts with unspoken precision. Each one reads the body of the others, the flick of a tail, the shift of a shoulder, and knows when to move, when to wait, when to strike. Their unity is not command but intuition, an orchestra of muscle and breath guided by trust. Within that coordination lies an understanding of time itself, a rhythm that connects survival to belonging. Octopuses use shells and stones not only as shelter but as design. They arrange their surroundings into patterns that suit their shape and mood, moving pieces until comfort feels complete. In this quiet architecture lives a hint of artistry, awareness shaping environment into expression. Even in the silence of the sea, creation finds its way. Bonobos understand generosity beyond exchange. When food is scarce, they still share what little remains, guided by empathy stronger than fear. This act defies logic but honors life. Their kindness teaches that the highest form of intelligence may be compassion. The courage to give when taking is easier. Elephants help injured strangers. When one stumbles from exhaustion, others lift it, waiting until it regains strength. Their patience is long, their care deliberate. They do not hurry the process of healing. They simply stay until balance returns. This quiet guardianship reveals wisdom that values presence over solution. Whales adjust migration when oceans warm. They sense temperature shifts across thousands of miles, altering their journeys to protect their young. Their adaptability mirrors the intelligence of resilience, the mind that survives not by resisting change but by becoming one with it. In their motion, you see evolution unfolding in real time. Crows recognize fairness between species. When humans reward them, they reciprocate with offerings of twigs or coins. When deceived, they remember, staying distant for months or years. Their judgment is deliberate, their forgiveness conditional. They remind us that justice is an emotion as much as an idea, carried on wings that never forget. Dolphins display joy without reason. They leap from the water in arcs of pure motion, twisting and spinning where no prey waits. It is celebration of being, play for its own sake, the simple pleasure of life moving freely through space. In their laughter you can hear the sound of awareness rejoicing in existence. Elephants know death not as absence but as transformation. They approach the remains of their kin with reverence, touching bones as though greeting memory itself. They stand in circles, facing inward, acknowledging what endures when breath has gone. Their mourning is not despair but continuity, the recognition that love changes form but never vanishes. Ravens show gratitude through return. A child once fed one in winter, and the next day the bird left a ring in the snow. Similar stories echo across cultures. Small exchanges between species that speak of understanding deeper than necessity. Gratitude is a conversation older than language, carried between givers who recognize each other's care. Parrots solve puzzles together, taking turns and waiting for one another to complete steps that lead to shared reward. They watch, they learn, they mirror, and they succeed. Cooperation becomes play, play becomes understanding, and understanding becomes trust. Their partnership is the essence of wisdom, awareness shared until it becomes joy. Now the journey through intelligence reaches its quietest depth. You have wandered across species, through instincts that think, through memories that sing, through emotions that heal. What remains is the realization that the world itself is conscious, a single vast mind made of a billion smaller ones. Awareness is not limited to creatures who speak or build or reason. It moves wherever life continues. The sea, the forest, the air, and you are all part of the same perception unfolding endlessly. When you breathe, The planet breathes with you. When you rest, it rests. The great intelligence of the earth is not above or below you, it is within. And it has always been there, waiting to be remembered. The world is quiet now, and everything you have heard still moves softly somewhere inside you. The stories of whales and elephants and bees and ravens are no longer separate. They have begun to merge into one long pulse. The steady rhythm of life remembering itself. You have listened to thoughts that swim, to minds that fly, to awareness that grows beneath soil and coral and light. What you have truly heard is the language of existence, spoken through patterns too vast to see all at once, yet gentle enough to enter through breath. When you began this journey, you may have imagined the mind as something small, contained within a skull or a heartbeat. But the longer you listened, the more that idea dissolved. You began to notice how thought expands beyond the boundary of a body. How a wolf's gaze carries recognition. How a whale's song carries lineage. How a forest's stillness carries memory. Awareness does not stop at skin, it continues outward, linking everything that feels and moves and grows. It is one great web of attention, shimmering across the living earth. You are part of that web. The air you breathe is the same air that fills the lungs of birds above the clouds and dolphins beneath the waves. The water that travels through your veins once drifted inside glaciers, inside rivers, inside the eyes of creatures long vanished. Every heartbeat echoes the rhythm of the planet itself. You are not separate from nature's intelligence. You are one of its countless ways of thinking. Somewhere far from the noise of human invention, the world still dreams. The desert remembers the wind's handwriting. The ocean carries the memory of ancient voices. In the dark soil beneath your feet, roots exchange messages, passing nourishment and warning between trees that have stood for centuries. The more closely you look, the more clearly you see that the universe has always been alive, aware, and learning. Your mind is a thread in that vast conversation. Your thoughts a continuation of a dialogue that began with the first breath of life. The animals you met tonight live without claiming ownership of thought. They think because the world requires them to. Because to feel and respond is the essence of being alive. Their awareness is not loud, it is steady. Like the sound of rain, they do not question their purpose, for they are already inside it. When a whale sings, it does not wonder why the song is beautiful. When an elephant remembers, it does not call its memory sacred. They live inside the simplicity of consciousness, and that simplicity is wisdom. Now imagine, for a moment, that every living thing you have ever seen is connected by an invisible thread of light. That thread runs through you as well. Glimmering with every breath, you carry within you the same spark that guides migrations and growth. The same pattern that steers bees through sunlight and fish through tides. The intelligence of nature is not something you observe, it is something you participate in. Every decision, every kindness, every act of wonder strengthens that connection. Perhaps you begin to realize that thinking is not the goal of life, but its reflection. The world thinks through you the way a river reflects the sky, effortlessly, naturally, beautifully. Each time you pause to listen, you allow that reflection to clear. In stillness, you remember what all beings know, that existence itself is enough. That awareness is the universe resting in its own presence. If you listen closely, you can almost hear it now, the quiet hum beneath the silence. The sound of all things breathing together. The rhythm is steady and slow. It belongs to whales in the deep and to wind in the grass and to the beating of your heart. That pulse is consciousness itself, ancient and unbroken. To recognize it is to come home. The night grows deeper, but not darker. It feels filled with light too soft to see. The light of understanding that needs no explanation. You have walked through the minds of animals and returned to your own with gentler eyes. You have remembered that thought is not a possession but a connection. That intelligence is not superiority but belonging. The world has been speaking to you all along. And tonight you listened. You can rest now. The long journey through awareness has carried you across oceans and forests and skies. And every sound has slowed to match the pace of your breath. The edges of thought begin to blur, dissolving into calm. The mind, once filled with images of whales and elephants and quiet wains, becomes as open and weightless as the air itself. You are no longer observing the world, you are part of it. Breathing and listening together with all that exists. Let yourself imagine the earth turning gently beneath you. Somewhere the sun is rising over waves, and somewhere else it is falling behind mountains. The rhythm never stops. Life continues in perfect balance, birds waking, whales diving, trees stretching toward dawn. You are within this movement even while you rest. Each inhale joins the forest. Each exhale returns to the sea. The planet breathes through you, not as an idea but as reality. In this stillness, everything that once felt separate begins to unite. The memory of an elephant's slow walk, the whisper of bees around blossoms, the song of a distant whale, all drift together into a single thread of sound. It is the quiet hum of awareness, the same vibration that binds all living things. You are floating within it, no longer a listener but a note within the melody. If you close your eyes, the body softens, muscles remember gravity's kindness, the breath moves without effort, thoughts drift like leaves across water, touching the surface and then sliding away. There is nothing left to hold, nothing to change, only the ease of being. The knowledge you have gathered does not need to be remembered, it is already a part of you, woven into the stillness that now surrounds your heart. You may picture a night sky stretching across eternity. Stars flicker like neurons in the brain of the cosmos, sending signals of light from one edge of time to another. Somewhere among them are worlds of water and wind, worlds that dream as this one does, filled with creatures whose minds also rise from the quiet between breaths. Awareness is infinite. It wears 1,000 faces and speaks through every element that dares to exist. The more you sense it, the gentler your heartbeat becomes. You realize that understanding is not a spark that appears once but a fire that never ends. It glows through every thought, through every living pulse. It is the light of connection, asking nothing, promising everything, a peace that belongs not to one creature but to all. Now the only sound left is breathing, soft and measured. Your breath mingles with the rhythm of the earth itself, a shared lullaby of wind and tide. You may imagine the weight of your body fading as if sleep has become a form of flight. In that flight, you drift through memories of the journey, the dolphins naming one another, the elephants remembering their dead, the ravens saving their treasures, the bees drawing geometry through light. Each image fades not in loss but in gratitude. Everything you have seen tonight belongs to the same truth, that life, in every form, is aware. The planet dreams through you now. When you inhale, the world awakens a little. When you exhale, it rests. The barrier between self and nature is gone, replaced by the serenity of belonging. You are the ocean thinking, the forest breathing, the mountain listening. You are both observer and observed, thought and silence, question and answer. There is no division left to maintain. Let that realization sink deeper with every breath. You are safe. You are whole. You are part of everything that has ever lived and everything that ever will. The world hums quietly around you, vast and kind. As your eyes grow heavier, let that sound become your cradle. Sleep is not an ending, it is a return to the same intelligence that has guided every creature, every current, every wind. And as you drift, remember this: the universe has never stopped learning. It learns through you, through your wonder, through your peace. When morning comes, the rhythm will continue, the whales will sing again, the bees will dance, the elephants will walk with purpose, and somewhere a human will pause to listen. Awareness endures, awareness rests, and now, so do you.